Good morning, everybody. Actually, I'm lying. It's not morning. It's actually afternoon. So what I decided was we was going to come here today to Royton Cemetery. Now it's funny actually because someone mentioned it to me the other day, and I was thinking I've not been to Royton Cemetery, but I have several times over. For some reason, I thought this was in Shore. It was a few years ago when I came, and the reason I came here is because my great grandmother's buried over there. She's called Charlotte Wood. She was my mother's mother. Yeah. She died, I think. I don't even know what year it was. I keep thinking 1975, but probably completely wrong. Anyway, we're not here for my grandmother's grave. We're here to have a look at these beautiful graves in the cemetery and find out who's buried here. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to start with this big massive Celtic cross here. I want to tell you something though, everyone, before we start. We're driving into Oldham this morning. If you know Oldham at all, you're coming off 60, you go past Milnrow, and then or Milnrow, or whatever they call it, and then what you do is you come off near Elk Mill. Well, it's a shopping centre now, not the mill. And they've got these signs up saying clean air scheme under review, but it's interesting that actually all the road signs have got, have got the clean air tariff on, so it's like they've already made their mind up, haven't they? We know that. But that's beautiful. Look at this grave here, everyone. Let's start with this one. Robert Barlow, JP, who died April 19th, 1951, aged 78 years. Also Alice, the beloved wife of Robert Barlow, who died August 10th, 1928. She was 53. Also Joseph, the beloved son of Robert Barlow, who died 1898, February 27th. And John, their beloved son, who was killed in action in France, August 9th, 1916. And he's 20. Hey everybody, I hope you don't mind me jumping in. It's just I wanted to say something significant about John Barlow you're looking at now. First of all, I'd like to tell you that Robert, his father, and John, they both worked in the cotton mills in Oldham, as many people did. That's not unusual. But I think something to say about it is that, John was called up. I think he would have been called up at the beginning of the war in 1914 because of his age. And he must have fought for a couple of years, trained or whatever. He would have been mobilised from the drill hall on St Mary's because that's where they were all mobilised from. And depending on which unit you went from, you would also be asked to go to Ashton-under-Lyne, and that would depend on which train you were going to get on. That was my understanding anyway. I don't claim to be an expert on World War I or World War II. It's just things that I've picked up over the years. But I would like to say, and this is the reason why I've come on, he died in Flanders, and that was, I think it was the 26th of August, 1916. And it's important that you know that the Battle of Flanders was raging, whatever the word is, since the start of the World War, which was 1914. And the phase, they refer to it as phase. There must be different phases of the battle. And the phase that John died in was phase 3. And phase 3 ran from February 1916 to November 1916. And there was a massive loss of life in that battle. And the reason why I wanted to say something was because John and all the other men that went to fight in that battle would have known what had happened to the people before them. They would have known about the massive loss of life, and they would have heard tales of what it was like, from some people who maybe come back wounded or whatever. They would have heard about it, 100%. And it just blows my mind to think what they must have been thinking. But you know what? He was just a normal bloke from Oldham. He worked in cotton mills. He died with 78 quid in his bank account, which actually was quite a lot of money for the time. He must have been saving probably to get married or something. I just feel really sorry for him. And I think, I think it's important that we remember, these war memorials and graves and things. I think it's too easy to walk past them and not realise, And I don't know. I just thought it was worth a mention. But anyway, he lived on Queen Street in Royton. His mother and father had I won't say which number it was, but his mother and father had a house on there. I've had a look at it. It's beautiful. So, yeah, he lived on Queen Street in Royton. And as I said, poor get. He died young. But I just wanted to mention it, and if you like these interruptions, let me know, and I'll definitely put more in. Okay. In his 23rd year, he nobly answered the call. He gave his life for us. I think it says us and all. 24. Right, let's move on to this. I noticed this grave immediately. We've got some whoppers in here, everyone, so we're going to come up with some interesting histories. Well, we already have, but... So, this is beautiful, this one. It's absolutely frigging freezing as well. And I need to pee. I wish them toilets were open that I filmed at the beginning. But never mind. We'll get through it. Right. Joseph Brewer of Laurel Mount, Royton, died December 7th, 1912. He was 60. And also is Sarah's beloved wife. She died in 1935, so she died after, and then of Elizabeth Goldthorpe, she was 82 in 1948. I'm wondering if that was maybe one of the children, possibly. I've got the famous shoe on today as well, you know, dead sensible and all. Coming to a graveyard, so I put an open toe flat on when it's absolutely pouring down. Let me just have a look round here. Let's have a look here. This is a beautiful tree, everybody. Look at that. The ground's really soft here. This is in loving memory. Ooh, let's try again. I don't know if you can see that with the light. This is in loving memory of Joseph Whittaker of Church Street, Royton. He died 1914 on the 22nd of July. Also Anne, his wife. She died 1927. Margaret, the beloved wife of Thomas. That must be the son. So what's been going on, everybody? Nothing much. It was New Year a few weeks back. I've actually got a video that I keep meaning to put up, but I need to finish it because I've not finished the activity that I'm doing on it yet. Let's just put it that way. It's not fancy, right? But I mentioned some, you know, I go off on tangents, don't you? I'm absolutely dying for Lou. I'm not going anywhere though. i.e. I'm not going out the cemetery to go and find a toilet to come back, don't mean. Anyway, this is... So what was I going to say? Yeah, so it was New Year and a lot's gone on. Here we go. This gravestone here, this one that you can see there for William Starkey, very similar in text to the one for what was he called? Squire Knott. William Starkey of Thorpe, who died Feb 25th, 1913, was 50 years old. Also Sarah's beloved wife, she died 1926. The son John, the only son they had, fell in action at Beaumont Hamel, France, November 13th, 1916. So, what was I going to say? Squire Knott. You know what, I'll just concentrate on the graves. So, oh, my hand's absolutely bloody freezing. That dog's having a bob. Oh, I hope it don't come downwind, that smell. Here we go. Here's the grave of Edmund Gartside. Died March the 5th, 1927. Also Eliza. You know what fascinates me looking at all these graves is where these people lived. I mean, obviously I find out, but that's why I do it, because it's so interesting. I'm going to dive up here because there's a one with a kid there. Oh, I can smell that bob. It reeks. So, oh yeah, we were mentioning the other grave that we're looking for is a lady called Hilda Marchbank, and it's quite a new grave, and I probably shouldn't, I don't like to feature modern graves, but if I find it, I'm going to show it you, because she's the lady who, if you're familiar with Oldham, and even if you're not, you might know of the story. She was killed in 1992. She was an elderly lady, and it was her niece that got imprisoned for it, and a lot of people said it was a miscarriage of justice. She always said that she never did it, and I don't know, I don't have an opinion either way, but there was a lot of evidence that came out to suggest that she didn't have anything to do with it. Anyway, it's just one of those things. She died before she got the thing overturned. But if we see it, we'll have a look. She's called Hilda Marchbank, the lady who sadly passed. But let's have a look at this beautiful angel here. We've got Charles Edward Holden. Now, he lived of Dryclough House, Blackpool, born on the 18th day of November 1858, fell asleep in 1912, the 9th of November 1912. Also Elizabeth, his wife. He was brought back. You see that quite often, don't you? People who were brought back to be buried in the hometown. Eli Lees died in London. Could have been buried in one of them big fancy cemeteries down there. No chance. They brought him back to Oldham. This is interesting. It looks like a bedpost. Have you seen that one? This is of Ralph Young, MA, MD, who died February 19th, 1920, was 68. Also Mary Jane. There's another one here on the other side. Oh, the little kids in there now. And affectionate members of Hilbert Golden Young, Goolden. 1899 he died. Also Frank, Northumberland Fusiliers, killed in France. Right, everybody, let's have a look up here. God, I'm bursting for blue. Never mind. What have we got here? James Brewer of Dogford Road, Royton. He died in 1890, that frigging year again, 1899. Just on the other grave as well. And also Ellen, his wife, Ellen. There's quite a few people in that Brewer grave. So massive. That name rings a bell, you know. Simeon Holden of Acre House, Oldham, who died May the 13th, 1883. He was 54. Also his wife, Maria. Why does that name ring a bell to me? What's it have outside? Here we go. We've got Percy Holden there, the son. The whole family's in there, everybody. We need to find that grave digger, don't we? That's what we need to find. Look at this. This is the grave of William Buckley of Cemetery Hotel, Royton. Died in 1893. And also Maria, his wife. She died in 1895. Look at that beautiful angel on top. Cemetery Hotel. Never heard of that one, everybody. James Taylor of Royton Croft. He died 15th of September 1867. He was 70. I think we're getting into the older part of the graveyard now. We've got a whopper here, everybody. This is John Pickering. Died in 1890. Oh, get stuffed. 1899 again. July the 22nd. Also Thomas. There's a few people in this grave. I'm not too sure this is the head of the grave. There's always a head of the grave, isn't there? That's Margaret Jane. Here we go. John Mellor. He died in 1871. He was 37. Interred at St Paul's in Royton. Also Helen, his wife. I didn't know there was any graves at St Paul's, which means I have to go there now. What the frig is that on my foot? Oh. Ow. Got something stuck in my foot, everyone. See these here? These thingy things stuck in my foot. I wonder who John Mellor was. Also Helen, his wife, she died in 1906. Poor bugger. Lived all them years without a rubby. Right, everybody, let's have a look at this chapel down here. Oh, I might have to cut this short, you know, because I need a loo. But I want to look at this chapel and I want to look at more bits in here. Look at it all boarded up, everybody. It's a beautiful cemetery, this, you know. I've noticed there's like little wood pigeons everywhere. That's the dirty one, that one, you know, and then fair ones fly around town. But there's like squirrels running around and everything. It's beautiful. You know what? I'm not adverse to going into a bush. If I could find, if I could find a secluded bush somewhere that's not near someone's grave, I would. Honestly, I'm not bothered. Oh, especially when you're bursting. Oh, look at this, everyone. It's a bit of old. Like an old. What is that? Is that a boot scraper? Or is it like a wall? I think it's a wall. I feel like taking it, but I won't. I don't take things. I'd love that on my house, though. Never take anything out of a graveyard, everybody, because you don't want to bring anything home. And by taking things, you're inviting it. Oh, look at these beauties. Look at that, everybody. Look at him. Oh, look at this. We've got a hammer and some sort of pincer. I wonder what that means. It'll definitely mean something. And then we've got this woman's face here, look. I think Royton Cemetery is the place we're going to come back to. Definitely in the new year, but before we go anywhere, I've got to look at this grave now because I've just seen it. Can you see the white plaque? I think this is a Catholic grave, potentially. In fact, I would say, look at the surname as well. John Wemley Geraghty. Died in 1942. We'll see if we can find John. Not know if I'll be successful. Let's get up here because I want to have a look at. We're going to go back to the car now. This is going to be it, everyone, because I'll end up in Oldham Royal with a busted bladder if I don't. But I want to look at these graves over here before we go anywhere. And should we go and have a look at my great grandmother? See if we can find her. I think she's down here. Right, let's get up here, everybody. So what I'm going to have to do is come back because one, it's absolutely freezing, but not that doesn't really matter. But there's a lot more to see, a lot more. But it needs a summer's day, you know, so you can like really get into it. Right, everybody, let's have a look at this. This is Thomas. Why, it's a big grave. Thomas Edmund Gartside, JP, January the 8th, 1941, 83 years, also Harriet. Thomas Edmund Gartside is the son, and William Travis, the son of the above. We've also got Colonel James Brewer Gartside, he was a JP, son of the above, late of Crimble Cottage. Bamford Rochdale, who died in Southport January 20th, 1964. Ah. Right, everybody, let's call it quits. And if you're interested, there'll be a video up tomorrow for my trip to shore. We're going to do a walk around shore. I'll see you then.